Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Stylist Meets Vinyl. My name is Chris. We're back up in the record room and I have good news. My light is back. In the last video, my light spontaneously died as I was recording, and I'm happy to say that it is back up and running with no repair necessary. So that is good. Guys, today I have some thrift store finds to share with you. I had some time this past weekend. I was in a different part of town that I don't usually go to, and I checked out two different thrift stores. One of them I had made a score at earlier this year. I found a few records there, and they were for like 50 cents each. So I grabbed 3 records for $1.50. And it's funny when you go to when you get a score at a thrift store, a part of you sort of feels like, oh, like it's gonna happen again, you know, I'm gonna go back and they're gonna be there. And so I had high hopes going into it, and it was just a bunch of junk. But that was the first one I checked out, no luck there. And then there was another thrift store that I checked out months ago, and it was really cluttered and really busy. And I talked to the woman who ran the place and asked her if she had any records. She said she had a bunch, but they were in the back, and like she couldn't even get to them. She had so much stuff in the back. And I kind of tried to persuade her maybe to grab them, and she's just like, no, there's nothing I can do. There's no way I can get there. So I always kept it in my head of like, okay, I gotta check it out again. I gotta go back. So I go back, ask her if she has any records. She's like, oh yeah, definitely. So she shows me this area, and there were a ton of records, probably 150 to 200 records, which I'll show you here. Now, the problem is the way that the records were, I wanted to film a little bit of it, of me digging, but the way that the records were on the shelves, that you needed 2 hands to flip through. So I couldn't hold the phone and flip through with one hand and still show the records. So I couldn't film. I needed just to be totally there and use both hands. So unfortunately, there's no real footage of that. But I did find some things. Now, the records were $1 a piece. There was, as I say, a lot of records there, a lot to sift through. And unfortunately, you know, again, like, you kind of feel when you're thrifting that you're gonna maybe find like that grail, or that like record that is worth so much money, you know. And so I did have high hopes, but I ended up with some blind buy records. I bought 5 records for $5, and actually these records are all in terrific condition. At worst, they're very good plus. But all of the records I've never heard of before, never seen before. I bought them because they're in great condition, and it was really just, you know, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you can judge a record by its cover. You can get an idea of like, oh, this might be cool, I might like this. Now, granted, I have not listened to any of these records yet, so I don't know if they're any good at all, and that's where you guys come in. I need your help. If anybody knows anything about these records, let me know. If you have them, if you heard them, if they're any good, let me know. Now, again, I'm kind of like, sometimes I'm hesitant to go to thrift stores only because I'll see some people adding records to their collection from thrift stores, and they're just grabbing records, grabbing left and right. Oh, this is 50 cents, this is $1, I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna add this. And I'm kind of hesitant. I mentioned in my intro video that I don't want to add just junk to my collection. I want to add bona fide hits. I want to add some good records. And so what I've decided with these ones is that I'm going to show you them now. I'll show you my haul, and then I'll get some input from you guys. Hopefully some people will have some stuff to say about them, and then I'm going to listen to all of these. I haven't listened to them at all yet. I'll listen to them, and then I'll come back and do a second part 2 of this video, and I will tell you my thoughts on each of these records and whether or not I'm going to keep them, because I don't want to keep a record if I'm not going to love it. I see some people in the VC, and they talk about how there's one song on the record that they like, or they'll show a record and they're like, oh, this record's not very good, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be that person. I want to have a tight collection. I only want records that I like and that I would want to spin for other people. So, enough talking, Chris. Come on, let's go. Okay, first record. Again, I judged all these just by their covers. If they looked cool, I bought them. Okay, so first one. This is Box of Frogs. This is from the 80s, I think 1980. It says $7 here. Someone bought it for $7, but I got this for a dollar. This is in excellent condition. Now, I have done a little bit of research on these records since I've purchased them, and I found out that Box of Frogs was a band, a UK band. These guys were former members of the Yardbirds. So if you know, there were the Yardbirds, and then the Yardbirds eventually, so like, you know, the Yardbirds was like Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton was in the Yardbirds. Eventually, the Yardbirds kind of disbanded. Jimmy Page was the only one sort of left, and he created the new Yardbirds, and they became Led Zeppelin. So this is the former members of the Yardbirds, at least some of them. So who's on here? John Fiddler, Jim McCarty, Chris Drea, Paul Samwell Smith. I'm not exactly sure which one of those were in the Yardbirds, but so this is from 1980 as well. Very good condition. And actually, on here, Jeff Beck is on here, and Rory Gallagher is on here as well. So when I saw that, I'm like, a dollar, let's give it a try. So if anybody knows this record, let me know what you think about it. Box of Frogs, the album is called Box of Frogs. Next up, we have the Sal Soul Orchestra. This is Nice and Nasty, or if you'll notice, there's two A's, so I should say Nice and Nasty. So this is a funk soul record. And when I saw it was funk and soul, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try, because I'm seriously lacking on funk and soul on my record. I do want to expand, and I will. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This cover, it kind of got me. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. For a dollar, I'll give it a try. And actually, I showed it to my girlfriend, and she said, if people need to put that on their record, then they're trying to sell records, and it's probably not very good, and she might be right. So I'll give this a try. If you look on the inside, it is literally an orchestra. So we will see. This is, I think, from mid to late 70s, 76 maybe. So Sal Soul Orchestra, Nice and Nasty. Let me know if you guys know anything about this record. Okay, next up. This one caught my eye. This one looks interesting. The Brains, Audio Extremo. This is an EP, actually. I think there's only 7 songs, 4 on side 1 and 3 on side 2. This is, I think, from 1980. I'm not sure about this record. I've heard that the Brains were a new wave record, but this record's been described as hard rock, so I'm not really sure. I'll have to give it a spin to see. If I'm being honest, I'm not really into new wave that much. It just doesn't really scratch my itch for whatever reason, and so I'm not sure if this one will end up in the collection, but it's certainly an interesting cover. So let me know if you guys know anything about this. The Brains, Audio Extremo. Okay, next up. Angel City. This is Face to Face. This is a cool looking cover. This guy here having some problems, and then he's getting sucked into this portal or something. I don't know. I did a bit of research on this. This is also described as hard rock. Angel City was an Australian band. They were actually called the Angels. And when they were promoting in North America, they changed their name to the Angels because there is a band called Angel, and they wanted to disassociate themselves from that. So this is, I think, a mashup of their first couple of records. They've put sort of like the best hits, the greatest hits on there. The cover is a bit worn, but this is, as I said, like all of these records are like near mint to very good plus at the worst. This is very nice and clean. So I'm interested to give this a try. As I say, it looks like it's hard rock, so we'll see. We'll see if it's any good. Angel City, Face to Face. Do you guys have this record? Do you know anything about it? Let me know. Okay, and the last record that I found, again, just judging this by the cover, it looked like, okay, maybe this is something cool. This is called Sky. This is the band is called Sky. The album is called Sky. So actually, Sky released a few albums: Sky 1, Sky 2, Sky 3, Sky 4. This is from 1980. This is instrumental prog. I don't think there's any vocals on here at all. Double album. I think this is actually Sky 2, even though it says Sky. I've from my research, I think it's Sky 2. I read that this guy Tristan Fry, he played timpani on A Day in the Life on Sgt. Pepper's. So he was like, I think, a session musician, but ended up creating his own band called Sky. So 1980, Sky, another really good condition record. So let me know if you know anything about this. That's it. Those are 5 records, complete blind buys from the thrift shop. Help me out, guys. Are these worth holding on to? I'm going to listen to them, and then I'll give my report and whether I'm going to keep them or not. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like. Consider subscribing for more content, and make sure you come right back here where Stylus meets vinyl. Thanks. See ya.